Dun, 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 dun. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum. What's up, party people in the house?
What up, though?
Welcome to This is Live, one of the sexiest voices in the SFL,
Mr. Master.
Dave Axis. What's up, party people of the SFL? Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? I want to make sure I am muted this time, since I kind of messed it up last time. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? How's it going this Thursday night? Welcome to episode, I better double check it, 95. What? 95 of Axis Live. I'm your host, Dave Axis. We've got a great show for you. We've got a lot going on tonight, and we've changed a few things up. We've got great panelists. We have one panelist who had some internet issues just as we were getting set up in our sound check and video check. I don't know if they're going to be able to squeeze in on voice or not. We're still waiting to hear, but something happened with his upload or download speed or something. So as of right now, we have two panelists, and we have our mystery panelist number 11. And if anybody's got guesses, you can start throwing those in the show server, in the show chat, as you guys have guesses. Twin Screw will be back with his SFL minor league positional rankings. We're going to be talking a lot tonight about SFL movement, retirees, free agents, what's going on in Denver, what's going on in Jacksonville, what's going on in Lone Star, all that kind of stuff. We're also going to see if San Diego is going to have a response tonight, later in the show or on After Dark, to what went down last night on NEPMA. What else I got going on here? Gunny will be here, of course, and our other special guest tonight, not our mystery panels, but our special guest, Hunter Norwood, is back to give us the end of season JAX data update, how he did, how the league did, and give us some of that data. So if you don't have, you better take a Red Bull, some coffee or something, get that brain power working, because you know when Hunter comes on, he's going to blow your mind with all the numbers. So, but he gave me some graphics ahead of time too, and I looked over the information. A lot of it's very interesting, very intriguing. So, looking forward to that. Looking forward to having Hunter on here as well. And then, of course, we will have After Dark. Regardless of what San Diego does, I have some other people that have asked to come on to give their opinions about what happened and what went down last night. So that being said, let's check out my favorite part of the show, the party people of the SFL, the party people of Axis Live. Let's see who's on the house. Nate Hall is here, Charles Doherty, J-Rock Madison, Jacob Clear. That's what she said is in the house. Hunter's in here. EJ Minson, good to see you. The wonderful, amazing, perfect Pink Lisa is with us. James Walters, 87, with his funny comments in my show server just before the show. Blaster Blade 34, David Leathers, the young man with the best first name in the SFL. Mike St. Green is in the house. Mike St. Green looking at some good food coming up in August, baby. Can't wait for that either. Frank the Franchise Wade is here. Bob Funk, Bullet Beletsky. Bullet, we got to continue that conversation we had last night and this morning. That was good stuff, buddy. Let me see who else we got. Corey Mizzou is back. Freddie, my main man, is here. Boonberry is here once again. We got a lot of regulars. I love having the regulars. MT Hall 14 is here. Jalen Wells, had a feeling you'd be here. I said Corey Mizzou already. Who else we got? Oh, Ron Cochran, the old vet, is here and back with us tonight. Ron, how you doing tonight, buddy? Good to see you. Benji Matson, one of the coolest, smoothest, sexiest tight ends in all of London. Let me see who else we got here. Josh Farnsy's in the house. And I think that might about do it. Doug Britton sneaking in there at the last second. And I think that's going to do it for tonight. Quite a bit of party people in there. Good to see everybody. Glad you're here. Thanks for being here for episode 95 of Axis Live. Let's start checking out this panel I was talking about. The first panelist in the unscripted circle. He needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. He's a staple of the show. He's been here since day one. He is one of my main men on the show for Axis Live. He is... Who is he? He is Frank the Franchise. Oh, you didn't. Frank the Franchise. Wait. Oh, no, you know, hey, put it back to the logo. That actually looks better. Hey-o.
Hey.
Frank,
And
what's
thanks,
up, buddy?
Dave, for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, always good to have you. Welcome back to the show. I see some more people jumping in here. Let's see. Oh, no, it's just same people talking. Same people yapping, which is great. Love it. Let me see. In the unfiltered circle, I think he's in the unfiltered circle. Now I'm confused about the person who couldn't show up. Like I mentioned earlier, the person who could not make it, we're still waiting to see if they can join us by voice or not. But as of 6 minutes until showtime, they've got no internet. So kind of hard to be on the show without internet. So we will play that by ear. If anybody else, any of the Sweet 16, the normal guys want to jump in on camera, you are more than welcome to do so, and I'll throw you in here real quick. In the meantime, in the unfiltered circle, I think he's still the newest member. I'm not sure if he's still the newest member or not. I don't feel like we've gotten anybody else, but it doesn't even feel like he's the newest member anymore because he's a veteran now. He's been on a bunch of shows, and he's going to be my house guest in about 8 days, I believe it is, and that is Mr. Nate Hall. Is it 8 days, Nate? What's the countdown, bro?
8 days.
8
Freaking
days?
almost a week.
Holy smokes. So
Y'all
that
better
means
be ready.
next Friday you'll be here?
Next Friday night.
Ooh, maybe. You know what? I better start drinking some water. I better cleanse out my liver a little bit. Make sure.
Yeah, you know, because the
sure
wife's
we're
going to
good.
give you a run for your money.
Oh, wait, whose wife? My wife?
I said, my wife's going to give you a run for the money about drinking. You remember last time.
Let's not go there again. I don't know if Kendra's listening tonight, but we definitely don't want to go there. Hey, Connor Weston, welcome. I just saw you jump in. Let me see. Anybody else? No. All right. The unedited circle is a circle we're waiting to see if we can still get that person on. Just for the record, our unedited circle was supposed to be the vice president of everything that is the Fort Worth Toros, Robert Garrett Jr., where he lives. They are having internet issues, so he's working on that. We're trying to see if we can get him in on voice. And Gunny, thank you for subscribing. A couple others. I saw Hunter subscribed, and it looked like, I think it was Bullet that also subscribed. So appreciate all you guys subscribing to the show. Really appreciate that. All right, in the unforgettable circle is mystery guest number 11. I think it's 11. Who do you think it is? Any guesses on here? Let me see. Anybody guess who mystery guest 11 was? Mystery guest. Let me see. Love the Cowboy. Yep, Gunny. He's a good guy. Yeah, James Walters 87. I don't think so. LOL. Hacker. That's a good guess. Look at Mike St. Green and EJ Minson laughing at that. Gunny. No, Gunny. Optimist. Ooh, good job. That's a good guess, Bob Funk. That would be pretty good. All right, I'm going to give you the first get or the first hint. My first hint. Somebody said Oprah. No, I can't believe it's not. I know. I can't believe she hasn't done my show yet. She'd be like, you get a this and you get a that and you get and then she's gonna leave me with the bill probably. Art. No, it's not Art. It's not Eddie. Dougie Fresh. That's always a possibility. Freddie. Maybe Liam. Which Liam? Which Liam, Hunter? There's so many Liams. All right, let me give you your first hint. In the unforgettable circle, the first hint is if I need to go shop for some discounted clothes, where am I going? Whoa, what? What does that even mean? Does that make any sense? It doesn't. Somebody said Tupac. I'm pretty sure he can't make it. He's a little busy. Coles. There's nobody with the name Cole, I don't think. Goodwill. Could be some Goodwill. I would definitely say this has some Goodwill to it. What else? Nothing. Kmart. Oh, that's a good game. That's a good guess. That would be like J-Mart, right? The linebacker from Jacksonville. That's a really good guess. Marco Swift. Oh, Swift. I get that. Jacob Fleet. I'm not sure where you're going with that, Bob Funk. Fleet clothing line. I don't know what that. TJ. Oh, TJ Maxx. EJ Minson. That's a good one too. Wow, that's a lot of good guesses. But guess what, baby? They're all wrong. All right, here's your second hint. Your second hint is if I have something I really want to talk about in the league, I might want to send it to this person. Oh, what do we have now? Bucky's. Oh, I love Bucky's, Gunny. I don't know if I could get that guy. If I can get that mascot on the show, that'll happen though. I'd be all over that. I have a Bucky's hat. I've worn it on this show before. All right, what about number 2? Brooks Brothers, Tom Rahman, Ashley, AJ. Another guess for AJ. 3 guesses for AJ. Wow. So if I want to talk to somebody, this is the person that I would want to talk to about things going on in the league. One person has got it, so I better, I guess, announce it. Ladies and gentlemen, if I'm going to shop for discount clothes, I'm going to Ross. And if I'm going to talk to somebody potentially in the swamp at Swamp Talk, I'm going to talk to the one and only general manager of the Louisiana Revolution, Mr. Ross Napoli. Ross, what's up, dude? Long time no see, bro. I haven't seen you in like 24 hours.
I know this is crazy. This is the most in-person media I've done all year with between Net and you. So I appreciate being on.
That is, yeah, that's pretty crazy that all of a sudden you're doing all these shows. It's
No,
like we want to come talk to you, but it looks like you want to come talk to us, bro.
that's it. I got to get out there. I got to be on the top show. I was already on Access Live last night, so now I get to be on it again.
Hey, dude, I'm getting a little crackling on your microphone right now, real quick. So if you get a chance, I'm gonna say a few things to the people, but if you can, I'm not sure what it is. You were fine during sound check, so I'm not sure what it was. Actually, I'm gonna scroll back real quick and see. Was it Corey Mizzou that guessed it right first? Let me look real quick. It was. Yep, Corey Mizzou. Corey Mizzou, good job. Guest Ross Napoli. Let me see if anybody new jumped in real quick. Jacob Clear already said. No, I don't see anybody, at least in the last 15 comments or so. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this show started. Normally what we do is we would go into some minor league week 5 reviews, and yada, 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 talk about the minor league. I don't know how many of you were in Gen Chat last night or have scrolled back and had a chance to check it out. But it came to my attention last night that one minor leaguer in particular who claims that he's not the only one, that there's a lot of minor leaguers that are pretty upset with our show, that we are extremely disrespectful to the minor league peeps on this show because of sometimes we mix up information or we forget a game or mess up a score. Things happen when you're doing 12 to 16 games in a week. Things happen. So there's no disrespect intended, obviously, but this person was pretty adamant for about 2.5 hours, I think, in Gen Chat last night, talking about it. So he said, I don't want to put myself and the show and my panelists in any position to be disrespectful to anyone. So that being said, we're just going to forego the minor league recaps tonight, and then we can address it in the future. But after I get some feedback, because I certainly don't want to sit here and have us being, disrespectful to anyone, especially with the claims that he said that him and the minor leaguers do just as much, put as much time and effort and energy and stuff into this stuff as we do. So, AJ, good to see you. I saw you just pop in. Haven't seen you since last night either. I thought I saw somebody else pop in. No, I guess that's it. So anyway, we're going to forego the whole big minor league recap like we normally do, the breakdowns, the stats, and all that stuff. So what we're going to do tonight instead is we are going to, first of all, just remind you that the games on Tuesday, Tacoma played at Salt Lake, San Jose played at Ottawa, Birmingham played at Madison, and Memphis played at Lexington. That was on Tuesday night, so we didn't have Access Live on Tuesday night. It was a nice break for the panelists and I, but also it was nice to have a chance for the minor league to play on a Tuesday night. Somebody referred to it as Tuesday Night Dynamite in the SFL minor league. What happened on Tuesday night? Salt Lake City beat Tacoma 16-3. That put Tacoma at 2-3. Salt Lake City at 4-1. Ottawa beat San Jose 20-6. Ottawa got their first win, put them at 1-3. San Jose dropping to 2-2. Madison beating Birmingham to move to 3-1. Birmingham still winless. At 0-5. And then the last game was Memphis beating Lexington 24-17. Lexington dropping to 2-3, which was surprising to me. Memphis staying steady. They're at 2-2 right now. They're looking pretty decent as well. Let me look and see if our first guest is in the green room. They are here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you saw him on the show last Thursday, He was mystery guest number 10. He is none other than Mr. Mike Twinscrew, who does the positional rankings for the SFL minor league. Mike, welcome back to the show again. How you doing, bro?
What's happening, SFL? What's happening, Dave? Thanks for having me. And the panelists, you guys are awesome.
Awesome. Glad to. Hey, real quick, Mike, I'm sorry. I don't know. I do this like every third show. I totally forgot to introduce Gunny. I don't know. I'm terrible. I better start introducing him first because I get on this mystery panelist thing and I get all crazy with the hints and then I forgot. I forget about him. Ladies and gentlemen, Gunny is back with us, fresh off of a non-Access Live paid vacation to Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. Gunny, how was your vacation?
It was very good, Dave. We had 10 of us in the a 4-floor cabin overlooking the beautiful Smoky Mountains for the weekend.
The beautiful Smoky Mountains. I love those. I can see them from my house. They are beautiful. I'm sorry we couldn't hook up. It sounded like you guys had a packed house as it was. Did you do any southern down-home kind of eating or anything?
We went to Paula Dean's and I went to the Old Smoky distillery, tried out some fine samples.
Yes. They give you like, what, 13 at a time and you can jump from place to place? That's a dangerous thing, Gunny. Well, glad to see you're back safe and sober, and we'll be hearing from you shortly. Thank you for being here, Gunny.
I appreciate it, Dave. Great to be back.
All right, Twin Screw. This is updated from last week, this positional rankings, but when was it updated?
I updated that on, I think it was released it on Sunday. I think it was.
On Sunday. Okay. All right. So as we're looking at it, I'm trying to pull up a bigger portion. I don't know if you guys can see it pretty well. Hey, if you guys are having problems seeing this on the screen, let me know. I'll see if I can make it bigger or maybe chop it into two parts next time he's on and see if that works better for you guys to be able to see. Mike, I'm assuming, though, you have it in front of you. So why don't you first lead us off with your biggest like movers and shakers? You know, who jumped up, who plummeted, who moved around the most?
Well, I'm going to start out with you plummeting because you keep forgetting Gunny. My man, Gunny, you keep forgetting him. That's some
I'm last on the podcast host positional rankings now, apparently.
plummet. Hey, so as you can see in the green, I think hopefully a lot of you guys have taken a look at it on my Google Sheets or on my Twitter, whatever the case may be. But the green has moved up. The reds moved down. We had a lot of new people first week on the board last week. Those are in the yellow gold. And the whites are all no change. So a lot of movement. And kind of like I said last week, that week 5, week 6, something like that, things really start to even out, and that's kind of what they're doing. There's still some movement, but you see a lot of white on that board. So there's people, everything's starting to even out. People are staying where they're going to be probably, at least for the next couple of weeks, but we'll see. A lot of the top 2 spots in most of these, a couple of them top 3 spots, but top 2 spots, it's really very close. So those could easily flip-flop. 1, 2, 3 could flip flop in the coming weeks in a lot of these positions. And at this point, you know, I mean, we look at stats in this game. This board was released prior to the games because the games weren't until Tuesday, and I wasn't going to wait because I got to work up to the next board that's coming out probably Saturday or Sunday this week. So they'll continue to jump a little bit. 1, 2, and 3, but a lot of it is coming down to activity in the chats. You know, that's where we're at. I mean, we got people who can't even progress anymore. We got 1 or 2 in Salt Lake City. You can't even progress anymore. Thanks for playing. Right. So that's kind of where we're at. So really, a lot of the builds are going to be where they're at. So it's really coming down for me, and how I've been doing this is the activity in the chats. Some people really picked it up this week that were down lower. You see some of the wide receivers. Those guys came out to play this week. The strong safeties came out to play this week. So a lot of it's really coming down to the activity and what you are doing to help your team, help the league, the things that you want to do to make this a better community. I understand that some people can't do it. I got it, but I'm going to credit those that can because it wouldn't be fair to give them nothing for the things that they do.
Right, for their efforts. So as I'm looking, I don't have week 4 in front of me when you were on here last week, but according to the chart, it looks like quarterback and running back both have been replaced at number 1. Does that look right?
That's correct.
So OJ Bruin, was it OJ Bruin last week was number 1 and Bailey was number 1, or was it? I don't remember.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
correct. OJ was at the top of the board up until this week. So
Okay. So what changed? What changed there exactly?
for OJ,
Right. Or Joseph, either way, to elevate him or to drop OJ by 1. And again, like you said, not a lot of difference between 1, 2, and 3 really. But what's the minor difference there?
activity. That's what it came down to. I mean, you look at Scar Patterson. I mean, he's leading the league. He's top 4, I think it is, in builds and stuff like that. But you just don't see him. Or barely. And again, he may be active and a lot of these guys may be active in the locker rooms. I don't see that. I don't give my own guys credit in Salt Lake City for their locker room activity. It's strictly SFL, SFLM, general chats, and I watch all the SFL minor league games, so it's some of the activity in there too.
Okay. Is it safe to say that it's the same answer then for both running back and defensive end as well? Looks like those are the other two that flip-flopped 1 and 2.
Yep, correct.
Okay. As you're going forward, and I know you're looking at all or mostly off field activity like you said, in the SFL, in the SFLM, but how much is there anything that you're taking as far as the games? Anything on the field, or what about maybe in-game chats? Are you taking that in consideration as well?
So I do look at some of the stats, right? Because it kind of ties into the build, right? I mean, if they have a good build, they should have some good games, things like that. So I take into consideration the stats for the week. Not much. Again, this board was given out prior to the games this week, so they're not even involved.
Right.
What was the second part of that?
The in-game chat, like Twitch chat or YouTube chat. I'm sorry, when
Yep.
when the games are going on.
Yep, I look at all those and I watch all those. I mean, I got my 2 screens up that I'm watching. I'm watching both games at the same time, so I do take some of the game chat or activity into consideration, but not much. Only because I would hope that everybody would be there on game day to support their team.
Right.
Right. So that should be a given. So I'm looking at just about every other day, giving that more weight than game days.
Okay. Any last thoughts before we let you go, and then let everybody know where else they can see this in Discord, on Twitter, wherever?
Yeah, on my Twitter, you got my Twitter down there at the bottom right there at Visigoth VWO. It'll bring you to the Google spreadsheet. I do post it in SFLM general chat. I know not everybody has access to that, but I'm not going to flood general and everything else, and I don't have access to the other ones. So you can see it there. And for the guys and gals on the board, keep doing what you're doing. For those of you that are doing stuff, I know there's a lot of chatter about some of these rookies starting to get into scouting and things like that. If your coach in the minor league tells me that you are helping the team with scouting, and I'm not saying learning, I mean, everybody's learning, but I mean, if you're in there hands-on doing some scouting, I'll give you credit for that. All these other stuff, all these other things that are going on. There's a lot of people that help out Ross with the Swamp Talk. They all get credit for that. You got these other guys that are doing their own videos and other content. Once I see it, you get credit. So keep doing what you're doing. If you're not involved and you want to be involved, get involved. We're pretty late in the game here. And if you're not talking to GMs and owners, you are already way behind.
Right.
So that's pretty much it.
Hey, real quick, somebody threw a question in chat. I just want to catch you before you go, Mike. James Walters 87. He said, "What about the team needs? Are the team needs more when you start getting into the mock draft as opposed to these positional rankings?"
Yeah, so I have the other tab there, and I know you don't have a picture of it, but I've just taken the team needs from things that I'm hearing rumors and stuff. I mean, once they're verified and validated, the out of the SFLM chat, the position needs and things like that. That's where I'm taking all of that from. So once you look at that tab, hang on, let me bring it up real quick. I even say on there, I got notes at the bottom. This may not be totally accurate because it's not. Spots are going to change after free agency and re-signings. And it's currently based on the team losses in the off season, and those team visions may change.
Right.
Some teams didn't have fullbacks last year. They may pick up a fullback this year or go 6 DBs or something like that. So their visions may change. So again, this is not totally accurate, but it's what I'm seeing from the team needs in chat.
Okay. Hey, Mike, if you got a couple more minutes, you mind if I see if any of the panelists have a question for you real quick?
Sure.
Panelists, anybody? Frank, do you have anything for Mike, Nate, or Ross? Any of the three of you?
Well, I didn't have a question for Mike. Because me and Mike and some others are part of Sim Scouts Inc. So we've been kind of talking and working, and Mike does a good job with this. And people see their name, and some people might get their feelings hurt or whatever. But it's just based on opinion and things like that. It doesn't mean anything by it, but it's opinion stuff. But I put out a questionnaire last week for rookies to fill out so we can get to know them a little bit better, and find out more about them and things like that. Also, and the team needs, like he said, is going to be changing, free agency signings and all that. So it's an opportunity for you to get your name out there. Some of these guys don't have that opportunity, and this is kind of helping them along. So I think Mike does a really good job with this.
I agree. Nate, do you have anything for Mike? You're muted, bro. Boom. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Dude, I don't get to do this very often anymore because you guys don't really do it that often. So when you do, I got to do it. Boom, baby. Boom. All right, go ahead.
There's that. I don't really have a question. All I have for Mike is, can you elaborate and speak on how important it is for these rookies to remain professional in the Gen chats when it comes to these rankings?
Yeah. So over the season, I mean, we've had a few instances where some people were kind of negative in SFLM Gen or SFLM General. And I also do take those into consideration because it's only fair to the owners and GMs that if I knock you down because you're being negative in chat, and I'm not saying talking smack or anything like that. We all talk smack. I'm talking things that happen and become, derogatory or not good for the league, then I'm definitely taking that into consideration, And I said when I first came on the show a couple of weeks ago, this season, this isn't Overwatch. This isn't the the league or the community to sit there and bring a bunch of negative stuff into it. We don't need it.
Gotcha. Ross, do you have anything for Mike before we let him go?
Yeah, actually, I do have a question for you, Mike, but just to quickly reference like what Nate was talking about too. The minors players should take a good hard look at what we've just experienced in the last 24 hours, right? We have a guy who came out and has spoke his mind, way that some people may be taking in a positive light, and he was the first overall pick altogether, and these guys can look in general chat and just see the backlash that he's getting for being negative for an experience he's already had. So I would urge young minors players, before you've had the experience in the pros, or that you've been in a pro locker room with guys who have been here before, you may want to pump the brakes a little bit on your negativity or your know-it-all attitude with how the league should go or operate, because most of us that have been part of the league the past year or two, we went through the minors just like they did too, and we had to go what they went through. Mike himself being on championship team his first minors season, we know what that is. That would just be my suggestion to them. But my question to you was, I don't know if you want to specifically single any one or two people out. I was just curious, are there one or two names on this board that you feel from the beginning have made significant moves upward in their list that you would suggest that teams should be looking at?
Hey, Mike, were you able to hear that? Ross, your microphone's really bad. It's super, super crackly. I don't know if maybe you can undo your microphone, maybe, or turn it off, turn it back on again, something like that. Whatever we need to do. Twin Screw, were you able to hear all that?
Yep, I got it all. Rush, you might just be too close to the mic. That might be it.
Back it up.
There you go. So guys that have or guys and gals that have moved up. Man, I tell you what, this linebacking, the linebackers this season, the top like 10 linebackers are incredible, doing awesome stuff for the league. If teams need linebackers in the SFL, take a look at these guys, because I think it is a fantastic group of linebackers that we got. The top, hell, you can call it all the quarterbacks. Gene Struthers, brand new quarterback for Birmingham. He's just getting in the league. Haven't seen anything from him yet, but he's only been in a couple of days, so we'll see what happens. But I think almost all of these quarterbacks are going to be fantastic. Wish they could all get drafted, but I don't think they will. Fullbacks, great group of fullbacks too. We know one of them's going already, but the top, Aaron and Terrell, great guys, having a great season and doing great things for the league. Offensive linemen, everybody's, how many teams are going to look at OLs this year? That's coming to be seen. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I would say the top ones are this linebacking core that we got in this season.
I want to real quick. A bunch of people have jumped in the show chat since I introduced everybody. It looks like, I don't know if I think I said Benji already, but Kelgate Collections is here. I can't remember if I said Will Todd or not. Art Vandelay's in the house now. Zach Holdorf just jumped in. Hubba Breezy jumped in. And I feel like I saw one more. Maybe that was it. Welcome to the show, everybody. We also want to welcome Robert Garrett Jr. in the house. Robert, are you able to hear us? And will we be able to hear you, I guess is a better question.
I really hope so, Dave.
Okay. No, we got you good. So we can't do camera tonight.
All right.
But you can still be unedited, bro. I'll allow you to do that. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Do you have anything for Mike Twinschool real quick before we move on?
I was just curious if you think there's a position or two that if you don't get maybe the top one or two guys on the board, there's really no value behind it.
I'm looking across the board here. You're talking about the top one or two, defensive tackle maybe. Robert Crone and Chance Wall have been in the league a while. TC Turner and Isaac Forster have been in for a couple of weeks. So as far as value goes, the top two for DT. The rest of them, the top third or top half of each position are looking at like their second season. So the value is going to be fantastic with these guys. Now it's just owners and GMs looking at, what do they want? They want the value, they want the person, they want both. That's kind of what I'm doing here. So, hopefully people are taking a look at this and using it.
Awesome. Mike, thanks for being here. I know we kept it a little longer than initially anticipated, but you got a lot of great info. I appreciate you answering questions, and we will definitely have you back on next week with your updated Week 6 positional rankings.
Word. Hey, if I could real quick piggyback off of what Ross said.
Go ahead.
About some of this stuff in general chat and things like that, and he brought up one person from last night getting some backlash. Rookies, take a look at that, and that's fine. But remember, that's one person's opinion. That team might be just fine, and it might be something that you're looking for. So don't necessarily take one person's opinion for how your SFLM career is going to be.
Gotcha. And for those of you who don't already follow Mike on Twitter, let me pull your Twitter handle up here real quick. It is Visigoth, VWO. So VISIGOTH, VWO. If you want to follow him at Twitter to keep updated with his positional rankings, and soon probably, I don't know if you're going to do, are you going to do mock drafts this season, you think, Mike, or do you think it's just it's too crazy this season to do it?
No, I think we'll be able to get a couple in, and Frank and I were just talking about it a little bit earlier today.
Awesome.
We'll get some of our mock drafts in. I think it's going to be, we won't get our 5 or 6 or 7 in that we do the last, because I don't think we'll have the time for that. Plus the craziness of this off season. So we're definitely going to do those, but there's no way I'm touching it right now with how this off season has gone. You don't know where anybody's going to sign or re-sign or anything like that. So gotta wait.
Okay. All right, Mike. Thanks again for being here, bro. We'll talk to you next week, man.
Word.
All right. See ya. All right, everybody. The head coach, I believe, or offensive coordinator. Did he get promoted, Ross? Did you promote him or what for Louisiana?
He is offense. Well, there's actually going to be some shifting this year, but offensive coordinator is his title right now.
Okay. We're still getting the crackling. Just a little FYI, Ross. For those of you who were just tuning in, Mike Twinscrew just gave his positional rankings for Week 5. We briefly went over the scores for the Week 5 minor league. Here's your schedule. The schedule's not out yet. I just grabbed this from the website real quick. Albuquerque, Madison, Lexington, Tacoma, Ottawa, Memphis, and Salt Lake, San Jose will be your Week 6 matchups in the SFL minor league. JAX Data was gracious enough to give us his power rankings for the minor league, as well as his spreads, probability winners, and over-unders. Albuquerque stays at the top. Birmingham stays at the bottom of the power rankings. Salt Lake, Madison, Memphis, Ottawa, Lexington, San Jose, and Tacoma. In Week 6, let me go back to these games real quick so I don't mess it up. Albuquerque and Madison. Albuquerque favored by 3.5. Lexington favored by 6.5 over Tacoma. Memphis favored by 3.5 over Ottawa. And Salt Lake favored by 3.5 over San Jose. You can see the win probability percentages as well as the over-unders for those games for Week 6. That's enough minor league for tonight, I think. It's even more than I think I was planning on doing. Let's move on to the majors. Let's talk about SFL, and let's talk about SFL movement. That's what the big topic is for tonight. This is what we'll hit on probably for the next 20 minutes or so. Frank, I want to start with you. There's a lot to talk about with retirees and free agents, and some teams seem to be blowing up their rosters like a Denver, a Jacksonville, even a Lone Star. Do you see this as a trend? And if so, do you see a reason? Do you think it just is coincidence that 3 of those teams, were all in the playoffs, they all did well, and now they're all kind of retooling anyway? Does that make you think of anything? Let me pull up real quick. In the for free agents for Denver, or I'm sorry, for retirees for Denver, I'm going to ask you about Denver first. Kramer Jackman, Michael Rochester, Jeremy Vega, of course, Echo Love, Jared McChesney, Giacomo Jones, and Josh Miller. Pretty much the heart of that entire Denver team, all retiring. Last night, I had a little bit of a thought process on that. Ashley seemed to disagree with me, potentially having some inside information. Frank, I don't know if you saw the show last night and saw Ashley and I talk about that on NETMA. But what is your take on Denver winning a championship 2 seasons ago, missing out on the playoffs last season, coming back this season, winning a championship, and then all these guys retiring all of a sudden?
This is my 3rd off season, and this is a huge across the board, huge movement going on with all these teams, and none bigger than I think the defending champions now. With, like you said, the heart of the team is basically leaving. There's some guys there that have been around for a while that have got records set and all that, and they've gotten their championship, getting their rings and all that. So it's weird to me that there's all this movement. Kramer Jackman, he's You think Denver, you think Kramer Jackman, you think Josh Miller and Jared McChesney. Those are mainstay names. But real life gets in the way sometimes for whatever reason. These guys they need to step away. Maybe it was okay. We finally won the championship. That's all I wanted to do. And there's a possibility that they just need to take a break and they're going to come back. I remember my first off season. A lot of rookies were kind of getting disappointed because a lot of players were coming out of retirement and signing with teams,
Right.
And everything. And that might be the case a season or two down the road. Who knows? But this is a huge off season, and the guys that are in SFLM now are going to have a great opportunity.
Adam Wiseman in the show chat, excuse me, saying, those guys are getting old anyway. We're going to get some young studs in Denver. So Denver, maybe retooling, maybe rebuilding. Maybe it is just the fact that a lot of these guys have been there for a long time and they're ready to step aside and let some of these young bucks have a chance. That brings us to Jacksonville, Nate. Jacksonville was the first team that we saw a couple weeks ago that kind of really blew up their roster. Now, I just saw Hunter, I think it was in there, that said they're going through a culture change. So I may have to press him on that when he comes on the show. But in the meantime, let me pull this list up. Jacksonville has, and these are all available. Actually, let me tell you, the retiree list for Jacksonville first: Anthony Cece, Alex Bond, Ken Gossett, and Christian Christensen. But free agents: Michael Sprouse, Rain Rowe, A.G. Pennypacker, J. Mart, Keenan Samuels, Clay Jones, Mike St. Green, and Iggy Swift. That's a huge chunk of your roster. It looks like it's probably almost 2/3 of your roster, Nate. What do you make of all the moves in Jacksonville?
Well, we've seen them make it to the playoffs the last few seasons, but not go very far in them. I don't know if that has anything to do with the front office and the way they feel about how their team was doing the last few seasons, and it made them think that they need to retool a little bit. But you're right, that is a huge majority of that team that either retired or is going free agent. And one major name that sticks out to me is Mike St. Green.
Yeah.
Does a lot of things for Cam on Saturdays in the major leagues, doing the co-host in the studio. That's going to be a major value to a team looking for a wide receiver this coming season for any other major league team looking.
Hubba Breezy making a good point in the chat. He said, isn't Jacksonville the reigning locker room of the year, which is franchise of the year? So they're one season removed from franchise of the year, yet they're blowing up their entire roster, at least a good chunk of it. Ross, before I get to you, I'm going to jump over to Robert Garrett Jr. Ross, when I get to you, I'm going to ask you more about free agents in general. But Robert, since you're part of that amazing South Tex-Mex division that almost put 4 teams into the playoffs, I'll also pull up the list for Lone Star. Lone Star is another team that seemed like they have a lot of free agents. Excuse me. Actually, it only looks like 6, but still that's a decent amount. It's a third of your team. Coach Craven, Doug Day, Cam Collier, who's, I believe, the highest rated fullback in the SFL, and then Hugo Reynosa, Al Lewis, and Lincoln Kingseed from one of the better defenses of the last 2 seasons. What do you make of the moves in Lone Star, and how do you think that will affect that competitive South Tex-Mex division?
Yeah, I definitely think it was interesting watching everything going down. Losing that defense that has really been kind of the heart of the team the last couple seasons. It's definitely going to hurt, but I also feel like, you guys over in Lone Star have plenty of connections, and I feel like you guys are probably already kind of waiting for the clock to tick down. I feel like, you guys have already made some moves.
I have a hard time not smiling when you say that. I would have liked to have seen if you were smiling when you said that, but I don't see you on camera, Robert. Excuse me. And in comparison, Robert, I'm going to stick with you for one more question. in comparison to Lone Star. Houston also had about 6, but I think 2 of them were retiring, right? Michael Sprouts and James Richards retiring, but Mike Baker, the long arm of the law, Kai Cash, and Cabrin Womack, all free agents, along with, in our division, Chris Komisak and Catherine Harrell and Ben Stone from Fort Worth, from your team. And then down in Mexico City, only K.L. Barrett and Dean. I always mess his name up. Sammy. Oh, and Jack Napier. Sorry, Jack Napier too. So Houston and Lone Star are having twice as many as Fort Worth and Mexico City. Do you read anything into that, or do you think it's just numbers and it doesn't matter?
I think to a point it's just numbers and it doesn't matter. Obviously, for Lone Star losing the Batch brothers, there's kind of a group of those guys. So those kind of fizzle out, and then Houston. I think after everything that went down, we kind of expected some kind of culture shock in the off season. So when it came up, I don't think anybody really didn't expect it to happen.
Ross, hopefully we get your microphone working pretty good this time, I hope.
Okay.
As you hear all the names that I was reading off, I think that's not even half of what's on this list I'm looking at. Almost nearly every single team is on this list. You've been around for a few seasons now. Does this feel like, and it may not be, the hard numbers may say otherwise, but does this feel like it's a more impactful offseason with the amount of people, or do you think it's just bigger names, or do you think it's both?
I think it's a little bit of both. Definitely the bigger names is what makes it a story, I guess, for us in the media to be able to talk about the fact that these big names where people probably think they wouldn't have left these teams are now testing free agency. I think the biggest thing that goes into, and you may be able to attest to this as well, being a GM, that teams that are going to be contributing and participating rather in the draft, the value that's coming out of there, maybe in previous seasons where teams were trying to coax players to remain because of their value, and I do think that may have been a deal with Denver, where there has been rumors around that some of those guys have contemplated retirement for the past year or so, but that they were sticking together, in a season by season thing, where teams putting their free agency list together and looking at what the draft is out there, they're not so much trying to maintain a lot of these bigger names that they may feel they may only be here for one more year because of the value that's being built in the draft right now. I mean, you do have some quality people out there, as you guys added in Lone Star, with people departing Queen City, and I think each team has their own situation going on. Queen City had theirs. Obviously, it sounds like San Diego's got theirs. I mean, even us in Louisiana, we ended up with 6 holes this offseason, where last year we made one free agency move because we wanted to, and we didn't participate in the draft. So I do think that there are a lot of things that play into this, but I think teams knowing the value that's going to be there in the draft is probably leading to maybe not such a big push to retain some of these players that they don't know if they're going to stick around more than one season.
Right. Ross, just real quick, we are still having problems with your mic. Some people were saying you maybe turn your gain down. Your gain might be a little too high. Just see what you can do. I was still able to understand everything you were saying. Frank, let me jump back to you. As I'm looking over this list, it's interesting that so far, and I'm not saying that this is a done deal because we still have some time, I'll tell you some teams I don't really see on this list, right? I don't see Florida on this list. I only see one person from D.C. Let me see. I don't see Sioux Falls on the list. I only see one from Vancouver, one from Tulsa. Let me see. I feel like I'm missing somebody here. But what do you make of the difference? I already asked you about Denver, but what do you make of the difference of a team like Florida, who came, 1 point away from winning the championship, and not losing anybody? Do you think it's on Florida's end? It's more of a, we came this close, we need to keep it together. We know we're good enough to make a run and win it next season. Whereas Denver was like, we've already won 2, so now we can, let the old guards step aside and bring in some young blood.
I think that the guys in Florida we were 1 point away from winning this thing. They've won it 3 times, and most of those guys, some of those guys are still there, but a lot of new blood in there. I think they want to stay together and try to pull it out next season.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that some of those teams that you read off, some of those, if not all of them, are teams that you don't hear. Well, you do hear from Florida in general chat and stuff like that, but a lot of those teams you don't hear much from them in general chat. They kind of stick to themselves. Like Sioux Falls, you don't see very many people, if any, talking in general chat.
Yeah, Charleston is another one, and I believe Charleston re-signed everyone last season too, Frank, if I'm not mistaken. So you got Charleston, you got Florida. Looks like you have, I think I said Sioux Falls. Let me look at Portland real quick, see if Portland's got anybody on here. Portland only has 1, which I think is great for them, except that it's their quarterback. Nate, let me ask you about that. You're from a team right now that only has 1 free agent, which is you, Vancouver. What do you think about these teams that only have 1 free agent? It says a lot about their retention. But in Portland, Matt South took quite a beating, not only on this show, but on in other publications throughout the league. Do you think that's the only piece that Portland need to replace? They've already been called next season's Fort Worth by members of panels on this show. Do you think they are the Fort Worth of next season, and do you think Matt South leaving and bringing in a new quarterback is the difference maker to put them over the top?
Well, I don't know about the new Fort Worth. I'm not sure if they're going to be quite at that level yet, but I do know that they have a really good defense already over there in Portland. Is solid over there with Bob Funk and others leading the way on their defense. So I do think if they get themselves a good quarterback in that position, that can, we already saw the damage that Ezekiel Luck can do at running back and Art Vandelay and others at wide receiver. So if they can get a quarterback that can get them the ball and move the ball down the field, then they should be a solid team next season for sure.
Robert, let me jump to you. I'm gonna one more to Robert, one more to Ross, and then we're gonna move on and bring Gunny on for his pearls of wisdom. Robert, I'm not sure if you were able to catch NETMA last night, where Tyler Falk / Mike Ryan announced his free agency from San Diego. And as I look at San Diego's list, it also includes Stephen McMichaels, Carson Miller, Nico Cappuccino, Shea Carroll, and Jacob Clear. There's rumors both ways between some people wanting to leave versus the front office potentially getting rid of some people. What if you saw the show last night? What was your take on that, and what's your overall read on San Diego going into this offseason?
My overall read on San Diego going into this offseason is definitely that they just need to find an anchor, I think. I think maybe they thought they had found one. And obviously, it didn't work out in the end. But there's ways to move on from that, and I think they have a big chance to do it. But the big thing that they have to do is now they have to take control. Their locker rooms now heard this side. They're thinking in their own minds, "Oh, I wonder, what I've gone through that might be like that." This is the time for that front office to kind of step forward and spill it, tell the guys what they want them to know and answer questions that might be hard. And I think they can rebuild the trust of the locker room if they even lost it. I guess none of us are in there, and I've talked to Optimus recently, and I guess we'll see. I think this is a team that can make moves. They need to make that first step in the right direction to do so.
Okay, Ross, last question goes to you, bro. There's some teams that were either on the cusp of just making the playoffs or just missing the playoffs. Um, let's start with a team like Arizona, who snuck in and then gave Denver, the fight of their life. Only two free agents so far. Actually, one free agent and one person retiring. Then you take a team like Las Vegas in the same situation. Everybody called them the hottest team in the league going into the playoffs. And you look at Las Vegas, and they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 people leaving. When it comes to teams that were on the bubble, whether they made it in or made it out, how important is free agency and the draft to these teams? And do you think that the draft is going to be good enough to keep these teams where they are or elevate them even further in the playoffs when they're losing, half a dozen people? Not Arizona, obviously, but teams like Las Vegas.
I definitely think that both of those teams kind of play to the point that I was just making with the value in the draft. Both those teams that you just mentioned in Arizona and Las Vegas, I think unlike some of the other teams that had a big exodus of players, both of those have very strong front offices. And I think that there is a culture in place there that both of those teams know what they're doing and they know what they're looking for. So I do think that the value in the draft is definitely something that, should those teams strike out, so to say, in free agency, that their chances of still improving with the draft and probably getting over that hump is probably very good. It's in their favor.
Okay. We are going to move on to Gunny for a moment and his pearls of wisdom. If he's still hanging out with us. Gunny, are you around?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I don't even know why I ask at this point. I know you're always around. And look at Ray Ray, who I didn't even see in the chat until right now, already on the ball, lyrics in the show chat. She's always on top of things, just like you are, Gunny. So whenever you're ready to rock and roll, you can go ahead.
Well, Ray Ray has this button. When she hears my voice, she knows to press the button. So she's good to go.
You have her trained already? Is that what you're saying, Gunny?
Yeah, she's on the ball. Well, congratulations on show number 95, Mr. Dave.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. I didn't see the habanero mango habanero, so I got the apple pie and the margarita
those are
moonshine. But I haven't tried them yet. But I might have to one night. Maybe after a Lone Star Championship in season 17.
I'm down with that. I will definitely drink
I don't know if I'll wait that long though. Anyway, I read the retirements from Josh Miller, Giacomo Jones, Jared McChesney. Man, those are awesome to read those. I hope one day in quite a few seasons I can say I won a championship and float up into the sunset and leave a nice retirement speech in the chat as well. Also, congratulations to all the other players that have retired. It's been an honor and a pleasure to play with you or against you. If you haven't checked out the last episode of AJ Striker, I enjoyed hearing T-Roy Gaines, of our very own Mike Twinscrew, and Coach Craven. Always a pleasure listening to Coach Craven. He cracks me up with his wit. I had no clue we had this many free agents. It's even a surprise of some of the ones I've lost on my own teammates, but I'm going to be shocked to see where everyone ends up going. Right now on Cam's schedule for the month of May, up until the 22nd, where they're still in league owner meetings. On the 23rd, we're going to have our schedule release show. On the 24th of May will be the start of the re-signing period. And May 28th through June the 2nd, we will be doing our SFL honors voting. If you are in the SFLM, be lucky that you get all this attention. I believe over the 3 seasons that we have had the SFLM, I believe the viewership and the content of your games have actually grown in the 3 years since I've been here. I did not get to play in the SFLM And when I was a punter and a cornerback as a non-contract, you didn't hear diddly crap about your stats. So be lucky as an SSFLM player that you get all this publicity from all these great content creators on these shows. But like everyone said, everyone has their own opinion about everything. I think the SFLM is good. I would have liked to have been in it, but I got lucky and I got signed at the time I did. I'm glad about that. I'm happy to be in the league. I'm looking forward to Twin Screws cornerback listing. I got to see who's coming out after my job. And with that, Dave, enjoy the end of the show.
Oh, did we lose Gunny right at the end? Oh, we didn't get to that is all. Damn it. Gunny, can you hear us? Nope, he gone. He must be hanging out with Robert Garrett Jr., I guess. I don't know. But, Gunny, thank you for all of that. That was quite extensive. That was a lot of good data, bro. I appreciate you putting the time in. Definitely, I can't tell if you're just kind of more casual and laid back from being on vacation or if you're tired from being on vacation and you need a vacation from your vacation. But either way, thanks for always being on here. Love having you on here, Gunny. Thank you so much. Let's move on to our next guest. We're going to spend the next 15, 20 minutes with Hunter Norwood from JAX Data, the man who is gracious enough on a weekly basis to figure out all these over-unders, all these spreads, all these win probability percentages, and to send them to us in time for our Thursday night show. So with that being said, Hunter, welcome back to the show. Thank you for all you do for Access Live and the league, and how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, thank you.
I'm not sure where you want to start. I put these in just kind of a different order. I'm not sure if you can see this. Are you able to see the screen where you are?
Yeah,
okay.
I see it.
Okay, this is what I put up first. This is the only one that I really couldn't understand, so I figured I'd start with the hard stuff first, and we get easier from here. Can you, first of all, just tell everybody what is this and kind of break down what it is?
So some of this doesn't particularly matter, but it was part of it, so you're going to see it. So the main points being there's the average points, the first average points, which is average points for season 16. For the left is home, the right is away, and that's for everything. Everything on the left hand side is home, and right is away.
So the 25.57 is home, 23.02 is away.
Correct.
Okay, good.
And then below that is the difference, so the average difference between home and away. Splits doesn't really matter. I use that for some other stuff on my end. And then below that is through 15 seasons worth of data, the average home and away point totals for the home and away. So that was 28.5 and 23. And then, like before, the difference there. And then below that is the change we've seen from All Pro to Legend.
That's actually kind of important. So you're saying we've seen, is that a 3-point difference or almost a 3-point difference is what I'm seeing, is what I'm reading?
Yeah, so nearly a 3-point difference in home scores on average, and away scores didn't move, which is interesting.
What do you make of that, just real quick before you go on?
It's hard to say. So, like, obviously, Legend difficulty has brought home field advantage closer to 50%. Everyone could see that. But by the looks of scoring, it's done that by limiting the home team. So I honestly, I don't know why. I don't know why the away team scoring is very similar. It could just be, this is through 155 games as opposed to 15 seasons worth of data. So it was like, we didn't do all 15 seasons, but we still took like 900 data points. So maybe it figures itself out next season and the away scoring changes up a little bit, or as people start to figure out Legend a little more, maybe it starts to differentiate itself.
You mentioned home field advantage. You said it's pretty much even now. What was it before?
Before, on average, through 15 seasons, was 66.7, so like two-thirds.
Okay.
And then this season was 79.65, so 55%.
That's quite an improvement. When they moved to legend mode, were you expecting that, or did you not know what to expect with that?
Um, Based on what Frank was seeing through his sims and through a few other owners I was talking to, um, I knew that they were seeing about 52 to 55.
Okay.
So I was expecting the home field. Well, it's hard. Based on the testing done, it looked like home field was going to start to revert to 50%. I didn't agree with how the testing was done. I thought it was a little. I felt the way they did the testing, it tested a control variable. If you're familiar with like scientific, what's the word? Not scientific theory, but the scientific process of you have a control variable, then you have the actual experiment you're testing on.
Right.
So the way they were testing the games, they were simming two similar teams, home and away, and seeing what the change was between All Pro and Legend. So I felt that was more of a control variable, but there was no actual experiment. And the experiment is basically this season, because once you put in different teams and different coaches and different coaching styles, and that's more of the experiment. So, I mean, as we see at the end of the season, the experiment matched up with the control, and it does seem to affect home field.
Hacker put in the chat scientific method. So
yes,
you didn't
that's
agree.
the word.
You didn't agree with the method, but you agree with the results.
Yes, I mean, I now agree with the results. I wasn't too keen on the method used,
Right.
but I was cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
It was funny, if I could say real quick. It was funny after the first week. If I check over here, the first week home teams went 9-3, and I remember I was writing Cam's DMs like, "Oh, here we go." And then it figured itself out, and it started. It was 5-7-7-5, 6-6, 6-6, and then it just started to kind of condense down from there.
Well, and obviously there's a million other variables in there once you get the regular season going anyway. So.
Yeah, and it was more jokey on my end because it's week one, and you know how week one goes.
Yeah.
So I mean,
EJ Minson and Doyle, they know how week one goes. Heyo.
Heyo.
Anything else on this particular graphic before we move on to the next one that you want to cover?
Let me see. So just some small things. The outlier data, you don't see it because I didn't want to. It's a lot of numbers, but I do something where it's a Z-score, and so the table that's not shown above shows home and away scores, the total points scored, and then the Z-score is the standard deviation from the average. So you'll see like standard deviation of the total is 15.5 right now. So if a score was more or less than 2 standard deviations away from the average, then it's an outlier.
Right. Okay.
So I was just interested in seeing that. So, as you can see, there's only 6 games that were outliers.
Wow.
And then at the bottom there with the 95% confidence interval, that's just math shit. It's basically just saying that 95% of the games should end somewhere between 46 and 51 points scored.
Got it. Gotcha. Real quick side note, sorry, but Gunny just gave away 10 subs in the chat. Gunny, thank you. That is one gracious gunnery sergeant. Let me tell you that. All right, so Hunter, as we move on to the histogram of total,
Yes.
I think I know what this means, but I'm not even going to try to explain any of this just in case I screw it up. I don't want to look like an idiot, or at least a bigger idiot than I already look like. So why don't you break this one down for us and explain this to everybody watching?
So this graph shows the numbers I just talked about with the z-score and all that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the graph showing those numbers, basically. So the numbers on the bottom, 16 to 106, that is total points scored in a game. They go in intervals of 2, so it's between 16, 18, 18, 20, so on and so forth. The numbers on the, the x-axis, is just the amount of times it happened. So you can see, what is that? Between 46 and 48 points happened probably like 13 times. And that's shown in the average point total was 46.89. So that, makes sense. But this is just for my sake when I'm looking at like totals for the lines and spreads and stuff, just to kind of help myself gauge how things are going to go. So if I'm looking at more of a higher like 50s or 60s, then I could say, well, maybe it doesn't happen as much. Or, you could see like a total between 34 and 36 happened like once or twice.
Yeah, right.
So, if I want to put out a over-under of 35, then it's probably not gonna get close. It might go under or over, but it's a weird spot to put one. I'd rather put one at like 32 and a half or something.
Right, I see that.
Just
Okay.
because it happens more. So yeah, that's it's nothing too crazy, but it is still cool to see where scores are ending up.
Yeah, it's still. I mean, it's super intriguing.
If you see at the very end that 106, that 106. Do you know where that 106 is from?
I don't even want to know, but I have a feeling you're going to say the Baltimore game.
Yeah, that 40 to 66 game.
Yeah. Thanks for ringing that up, Hunter. As we move on to the next graphic, we could have done without that last comment. This one, hopefully everybody can see. I had to blow this one up a little bit. It's a tiny bit blurry, but
That looks good to me.
as long as you guys can read it, that's all that matters. So, Hunter, take us through this one as well.
So I have all the regular season against the spread stuff on hand, but for this sake, this was how we did during the playoffs. So I have the score on the far left. I have the home team spread over under, then what happened.
Okay.
I will say, if anyone's ever wondered, I always just do home team and the spread for the home team, just because it's easier in my thinking. I think it's just easier to understand. For most people, especially if you don't know entirely what's going on, as opposed to like St. Louis plus 3.5 instead of putting Las Vegas minus 3.5, then you have to remember, oh right, Las Vegas isn't at home, and then maybe you guys get screwed up because you guys don't really watch the games, and I guess this is the major, so you do watch the games. And yeah, so we did pretty good. 7-4 both sides.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
I don't
That's a
know why.
playoff team right there, bro, and possibly a first round bye. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, missing on Mexico City, which, I mean, who really, other than Eddie, picked Mexico City to lose? Florida won that game against Las Vegas, but they only won by 7, and I had them by 7.5, so they won, but they missed.
Right. So you're really close
and it
to
was
being 8-3 or even 9-2. Then is what you're saying.
right. I mean, yeah, again with the Denver game below it, 7.5, but they won by 6. I see you, Eddie.
Eddie, he just complimented you. What are you talking about? Look, you say Eddie Gage's name and he pops up. He's like a genie.
Yeah, especially with that bald head of his, you know.
Yeah. Hey, easy with the bald head stuff, bro. I'm a little.
You got a hat on. I
I'm a
don't know
little
what you're talking about.
I'm a little sensitive about that, but
I'm balding anyway.
It's,
But yeah, so I mean, Denver wins but doesn't cover. Again, Denver wins but doesn't cover for the championship game. You know, we were close on some overs, like with that Florida game, 54.5. There was 53 points scored. I think there was another one, the Fort Worth game, 44 points scored on a 44.5. What was that, 54 in that St. Louis game? So
yeah,
in the first game,
50.5.
So
Or 54.
and then of
score.
course, yeah, 54 on a 50.5. So, but yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with how we did. As you can see, home teams went 9-2 in the playoffs, which is 81%, which is typical in the past 15 seasons. So, you know, not everything changed,
Right.
but you got to think and people have said it before, it's the playoffs. The better team is higher seeded. The higher seeded team's at home. The better team usually wins. So, am I really surprised? No, not really.
Not really. Right. Before we let you go, I see these are your playoff numbers. Did you keep track of your season numbers by any chance? And how did those go?
I did. So, let's see. So including, I have it including playoffs just as an overall
Okay.
thing, but purely against the spread, teams went, and this is based on who was favored, basically how the favorites did. We went 71 covers, 82 misses, and 2 pushes. Which season 15 we did 78, 53, and 1. So
Did you say this season was 71, 82, and 2?
yes.
Okay. So how much of that do you think, though, has to do with you having to get used to the legend setting the first few weeks? With the way the teams were going to play? Because, I mean, you were literally starting a whole new season yourself, right? With not knowing how teams were going to play on these new settings.
Yeah. I think the spreads maybe took a few weeks to kind of get acquainted, but it wasn't too bad because you still know, you can watch teams for a week or 2 or 3 and start to figure them out, and you can start to figure out who's good and who's not. I think the hard part was, so like our over-unders were 71 and 84, and if you take out the playoffs, we were 64 and 80. So over-unders, we were getting a whole ton of unders this season just because average scoring started to go down a little bit. It started to figure itself out towards the end of the season. But I was having some rough weeks. But yeah, it was definitely on both sides of the spreads and the totals. It was definitely a learning experience, and it definitely took some time to figure out. I was trying some different things and having to trust my gut on some things, and but I'm happy with what we were able to accomplish.
Good. And you know what? I'm happy that you give us the data every week for us to do our games, for us to help with our, pick'ems. I think some people even use them to help pick their who you got, in the SFL server. So, Hunter from Access Live, I can't thank you enough. Hopefully, you'll continue to do this for us and continue to do this for the league. It really helps the show a lot, especially when we get an idea of what does the data tell us in picking these games as we move forward week to week. So thanks for doing all this. Thanks for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Am I able to say like two quick things?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Just I had a few points of data.
Yeah.
As far as season 16 team specific things go, I'll just do the top and bottom here. Florida was the best team against the spread in the regular season. Went 9-2-1. Right behind them was actually Portland, who went 9-3 against the spread.
Oh, good for Portland. Okay.
And then rounding out the top three was Fort Worth at 8-4. Denver being fourth at 7-5 with a bunch of teams. Denver makes sense. They're a good team. I'm gonna rate them higher. They're gonna have a lot of 7.5s, 10.5s, 13.5s. What I do like 28.5 against San Diego.
Yeah, harder to cover when you're harder to cover when you're getting spreads that big though. Yeah, when you're the team.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're expected to blow people out, so it comes with the territory. Bottom end of things, Carolina was 4-7-1. Charleston was 4-8. Actually, Charleston just got unlucky. Honestly, they had a lot of. I think they had a lot of 3.5s, and then they wouldn't win those games, or they were the underdog, and they just didn't score just enough to get over the hump. And then San Diego was 2-10, so they got a win somewhere.
Couple of them.
And I think it was like back-to-back weeks, and then they stopped. And then the other small point, I did this last season. I have a thing called it's Pythagorean win expectations.
Right.
It takes scoring, points for, points against, puts it through a logarithmic function, and it spits out what the math expects you to be winning game-wise. And usually how it's used is if you're above a certain number. The way I'm looking at the numbers, about 1.5 wins above or 1.5 wins below, you should start. Those teams should kind of fall back to earth or improve the next season.
Okay.
Typically, it doesn't always work, but I'm not going to really compare it to season 15 because we did a whole legend switch, so it doesn't quite make sense. But the big numbers that stand out for season 16. St. Louis was 1.69. Nice. Wins.
I know. Hey, hackers in the chat. He loves that.
Heyo. And they were 1.69 wins above expectations. So they went 7-5. They were expected like 5.3. So I mean, if St. Louis can figure out their offense, they should be able to repeat what they did. But if it stays like this, they had a lot of close games where they just kind of dug one out. So the next season, you can't always expect those types of things. So they might regress a little bit, depending.
Gotcha.
The other two teams, Florida and Denver, usually if you're winning a lot of games, it's going to happen. Florida won 2.59 games above, and Denver was a full 3 games above. Now, Denver, with the amount of retirements, they might just regress naturally. Florida, maybe they don't win 10 games, maybe they win 9. So, yeah, they quote-unquote regressed, but I don't see them really falling off. The other one, Mexico City, 1.38, close. So, maybe see what they're doing. On the other side of things, it's obvious sort of teams. Louisiana was 2 games flat below. They were expected to go 6-6. So I'm thinking that they'll start to figure out how to play on Legend and kind of come back a little bit. DC was 1.75 below. DC was definitely starting to figure it out towards the end of the season, so I'd be looking towards them to start moving up somewhere. And then, of course, San Diego was minus 2.44 games. You know, just even one game will be a progression for them. So that would be the last team to look forward to.
Awesome. Well, that's good. I'm glad you gave us those last 2 points. It's interesting to know which teams excelled, which teams, overachieved, underachieved, that kind of thing. So that was a good little thing to end with. That was perfect. All right, Hunter. Thanks for being on, bro. Always appreciate you.
No
appreciate
problem.
all the work you do for us and the entire league. And we'll have you on again before the season starts for sure.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks, bro. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's your JAX data wrap-up for Season 16. A lot of data there. Hunter doing a phenomenal job over there, especially in the playoffs with his spreads and over-unders. It'll be interesting to see what these teams do that he mentioned there at the end, especially Denver with all the retirees. I think Florida probably won't get as many. They're probably going to have to underachieve because I think they're probably going to be the favorite to win the most games next season, sitting where they're at so far. Nate Hall, mind blown. All right, now let's get to what I know some people have been waiting for. Last night, Tyler Falk / Mike Ryan, strong safety, number 1 overall pick of the last draft, held a press conference with interviewers Ashley Jackson, Ross Napoli, and myself, moderated by Kendra Hall, to announce his free agency for the upcoming season. It has had mixed reviews. Some people didn't like the way he went about it. Some people don't think he should have done it. Some people, like myself, believe that I think as paying customers in this, we have a right to announce things the way that we want to, and especially with the way the rules have been changing in that area. Whether you're Johnny Pickler, whether you're Mike Ryan / Tyler Falk, or whoever else, I don't have a problem with it. What most of the blowback has been about were some of the things that he said about the San Diego franchise. I invited them on the show tonight. Wasn't sure if they were going to come on. They took the day to think about it and discuss among themselves, and they decided that they were just going to stay amongst themselves, discuss it amongst themselves, and not make it a public issue from their point of view, which is perfectly fine. I wanted to offer the forum open to them in case they did want to use it. I had a couple other people that did say they wanted to come on to talk about this. I have not seen them jump in the green room yet. So Frank the Franchise Wade, I know you got to bounce here. You got a final or something tomorrow you got to take care of. Let me start with you. First, did you get a chance to see at least the first half of the show last night?
I did. I did get to watch it, yes.
Okay. What were your thoughts about how it went down, the things Tyler said, and the reactions to what he said?
Like you, I'm for, guys that want to have fun with this and, make this big announcement. Pickler did it my rookie season. That off season I was listening to all that stuff, and he was just having fun with it. And I think Tyler, I think his intentions were trying to be like that. The only thing I like Tyler. I like Tyler, and I'm a big fan of Optimus. I don't know what's going on in the locker room. I don't need to know what's going on in the locker room because I've got my own locker room, Louisiana, that I'm concerned about. But I didn't think that I thought the announcement was okay. I didn't think that the dirty laundry comment, all that stuff I don't think that should have been out there. That's not for us to hear. That's between him and Optimus and ownership over there. And I just didn't, really care for that part.
Okay. If you have to bounce, Frank, that's cool. If I do have actually one San Diego member that just jumped in the green room that we'll talk to in a moment as soon as I go through the panel. Frank, you're welcome to stick around, or if you have to bounce, I understand as well.
Yeah, I got to finish typing up a final and get ready for that tomorrow.
All right, make sure you put an Access Live question on there for the kids.
I will do it. That'll be a bonus question.
Bonus question. There you go. All right, hey, Frank,
Appreciate it. Good night,
thanks for being
y'all.
here, bro. Appreciate it. All right,
Take it easy,
Nate.
Frank.
Let's move on to Nate. Nate, same question. Did you get a chance to watch the show last night? And if so, your reactions? And I'm pretty sure you did, since your wife was the host of it.
Oh heck yeah! I watch it every week since my wife's the co-host, so I gotta support her and everything that she does. So yeah, I did see that.
I hope she's
last
watching
night.
this show every week you're on.
Yeah, I can't say the same thing. She's actually asleep and fell asleep at 8 tonight, so
Wow.
it's whatever.
There you go.
But I mean, I agree with you. If you're a paying customer of the league, like we all are, then you have every right to announce free agency. You know how you go about it and how you want to, bring it forth is your prerogative. And I don't have a problem with anything that Tyler talked about last night. I think everything that he talked about was informative, not only to everybody listening, but everybody who hasn't listened yet. They should do so and maybe learn a few things about a few people that were being talked about. So, of course, we're going to hear both sides of the story and everything, but I just think it was very enlightening, to say the least, and very informative to see what he was going through there in San Diego.
I do agree it's important to get both sides of the story, right? Nobody's ever 100% right about anything. Hunter Norwood in the chat. I don't usually agree with airing out dirty laundry, but if the front office is toxic, I think it's worth being known, even if Tyler has to martyr himself. Folks have a right to know if anything may be off in the front office. Jeff Gunny saying one of the SFL stays between just team and owner, though. Might as well be hanging around the school lockers in the league. At least words can't be minced. And last thing, Hunter, another follow-up. Allegedly toxic, to be clear. If he's allegedly toxic, right, exactly. Robert, let's go to you, and then I'm going to go to Ross, and then we'll bring on our guest. Do you agree or disagree with the things being said in the chat? And then, did you see the show last night? And what are your thoughts on the show?
Yeah, I watched the show last night. I didn't get to watch it live, but watched it a little bit after. I do agree with some of the comments in the chat. The way it went down, though, I just don't. I don't know. It's weird, and I get the unique, I guess, way of looking at it as a team that also has a first round pick. You know what I mean? And if they come to you and they say, hey, I got an issue with this, most teams are going to fix that. Unless, you're a team that gets year after year, you got the first overall pick. At that point, I guess, in a way, it loses value. But when you take that guy, that's supposed to be your cornerstone. And so, I maybe... Again, maybe he was telling them things and it was just getting blown off. We don't know that. But I think that, most teams, if your number one pick and your top guy comes up to you about something, you're going to drop what you're doing and make sure that, he's cool with how everything's going.
Okay. Ross, let's bounce over to you. Same question, and then we'll introduce our guest.
Okay. How's the mic thing? Is that right?
A little better, yeah.
Okay, good. I actually have, I think, a little bit of a different perspective on it than some others because of, I guess, what it's being compared to. I think it's an unfair comparison to put Johnny and Tyler in the same conversation. I think it's unfairly being linked for the simple fact that it was done in a press conference format, and I think everybody in this league likes to just make press conferences synonymous with Johnny Pickler. I think that if Tyler waited one more night and did it on this show tonight, it wouldn't be compared to Johnny, although people would still have their opinions about how it was done. Being a general manager that was with a team that went through some similar things, I never had a problem with Johnny airing anything that he wanted to say. As a matter of fact, we went through it a little bit earlier in the season, right when he came on your show and had some comments. And for the next week, I printed Johnny's words word for word in the paper, because we just happen to be an organization that feels, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. I think in Tyler's situation, it tells, I'm looking at it a little bit differently. I have spoken to some people from San Diego.
Hey,
and
Ross,
some
do
of
me a
the-
favor. Back up just a tad. Let me see, because you're crackly again.
Okay, how about here?
Perfect.
And what I think happens there is Tyler may have expressed his displeasure towards Optimus or anybody else in there, because as far as I know, Tyler wasn't part of those people that they were getting rid of over there. Tyler was welcome back there if he wanted to be.
I believe that's true.
Those other cuts and all of those other people that that were jettisoned out of there, and it was announced that they were not coming back. Tyler was not part of that. So it leads me to believe, and I don't know because I haven't spoken to Tyler specifically about it, but it leads me to believe that he probably did voice some of those things, or maybe he was talking and they knew of his displeasure. I just don't particularly think people like the fact that it's just being aired after he's gone. But I think a lot of people have expressed displeasure to their former team after they go. But I think, like I said, what really made it a little bit clearer to me was the fact that they didn't get rid of Tyler. So clearly he was not a distraction, he was not a disruption, and they wanted him back. He's just the one choosing to leave. So I think that that's a part of the story that I think a lot of people aren't taking into consideration.
That's a great point. In the chat, real quick, Master Chief DB, Tyler did a great job answering those questions. The guests pulled no punches. Just to reiterate, I don't know if I think Ashley may or may not have said this already in the chat. We were told the topic, Ross and Ashley and I, but we did not tell Tyler the questions ahead of time, and we told him that we would ask the tough questions, and he was okay with that. So again, kudos for him, or to him for doing that. But let's find out from a member from San Diego, actually, that's been there all season and has been in that locker room. And it is someone we've talked about a lot on this show, mostly for not the best reasons this past seasons. But he has been on before. We've had some really good talks and some celebrations. Ladies and gentlemen, the running back from San Diego, Jalen Wells, is with us. Jalen, welcome to the show, bro. How you been? How you doing? Oh, you're muted, bro. Are you there? You're unmuted, but I still can't hear you. No. Hey, jump out and then jump back in, and I'll put you back in there. While we're waiting for that, let me look at the. We're waiting for Jalen to jump out and then jump back in. Let me check out the chat real quick. Yes, the hacker AJ, your muted bro icons already coming, or emotes. Art Vandalay, I didn't hear such tough questions. Get out of here, Art. I should have you on here. We should question you. How about that? Let me see. Who else is here? Oh, somebody's saying you need a mic upgrade, Ross, in the chat. Let me see if Jalen's back yet. Not. Oh, there he is. Hold on. Let's see if we can get Jalen. Jalen, is that any better?
I'm on the show.
There you go. That's perfect. Jalen, welcome to Access Live, bro. How you doing?
How you doing? How you doing?
Doing great, man. Welcome back. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
Obviously, I'm assuming you're here because you saw the show last night and you want to give your take I'm hoping not only on the show, but your take on San Diego, the locker room, and the front office. So I'm just going to give you the floor and let you say what you came here to say, and then we'll ask you some questions.
All right. Now, we're good in the locker room. The staff is good, and being that I've been there, the full season, and apparently there's some, to me, things shouldn't have been aired the way they were. I mean, everybody's voiced to opinion. I had nothing against Mike Ryan, Tyler Falk, but things shouldn't be. They should have been handled internally. Um, Apparently they weren't excluding him, and he came to them and they answered back, but he never replied back. So they were coming to him. So as far as the locker room or the office being toxic, I didn't see any of that. I didn't see any of that. Of course, I had my opinions about some stuff on being assistant defensive coach, but Jake Clear never responded back. Or that's as far as I know about that. But to me, being that you're the number one draft overall. That comes with a level of standards, responsibilities. You're the cornerstone. They went and picked you up. You're the cornerstone of the team. To me, yes, we went 0-12. Nobody likes losing, but you stick with that team. You stand by your team. Being at your cornerstone, you stand by that team. You don't up and bolt and just take off and go to another team. A part of me thinks that it could be the image of Tyler Falk, image of Mike Ryan. It might spoil his image by being on an 0-12 team, and running the show of Netman like he does. Like I said, I have nothing against him, but it shouldn't have been aired out the way it did. It could have been handled differently.
So do you have a problem with the platform he used, or to announce his free agency, or just the things that he said about San Diego while using that platform?
Yeah, things he said about saying go by using that platform. I don't care about the platform he used. Anybody he wants to go free agency, he can go free agency. He wants to go to the team, he can go to the team. But it's the way he did it. It didn't have to go that way.
Okay, there's lots of comments in the chat real quick. I'm going to see if Nate has a question for you in a moment.
Okay.
Dwayne from St. Louis says, being a first season team, kind of about finding your rhythm, what works for you. It doesn't seem like what their version of how to move forward was not on the same page. I'm assuming he's talking about between San Diego front office and Tyler. And then my boy Liam Hammer said, two sides to every coin. Too often the loudest voices determine right when no one is ever 100% right or wrong. And let me also say for the record, and I think I could probably speak for Ross and AJ last night as well, we like all these people, right?
Yeah.
We like Tyler. I'm close with Liam. I like Optimus a lot. I mean, it's weird to see three people that all seem to be really good people have such a different point of view about what went down, right?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jalen.
no, the office, the front office is great. I told when I first got on to San Diego, I told Optimus he's one of the main reasons why I went to San Diego. I like Liam Hammer. I like the whole staff.
Right.
So it was just messed up. Well, I didn't get to watch it until the morning. And I was like, really? I started laughing, and when he sat there and went from Tyler to Mike Ryan and put the hat on, I'm like, okay, all right, they're seeing two different people just like this. Of course, he's Mike Ryan and Tyler, but I heard stories, heard some things. But anyway, keep going.
Nate, let me ask you: do you have a question for Jalen while I read through the chat real quick? See if I got any more comments in here.
I do. Jalen, how you doing, bro?
I'm all right, sir.
Hey, so my question is kind of twofolded. I watched the show last night, so I know everything that was said. My first question to you is regarding some of the things that were said. It was portrayed that some of the people in the front office had a close clique that they were trying to keep around in San Diego, and everybody else was going to be either moved around or excluded for the following season.
No.
My question is, what's the response to that? And my second part to that is, there's a lot of rookies that watch the show from last night, also that are looking to join some teams in the off season. My question on that is, what would you say to those rookies now that Tyler's part has been aired, and how would you portray your team to these rookies coming into the new season?
Um, I never seen any backlash or anything like that. When I voiced my opinion, I got response, and everything was fine. I held with professionalism. As far as the rookies, you know, you're coming into a league. There's going to be stuff said. You're going to be seeing things, but remember, there's always two sides of the fence. So don't be judging until you know everything first. San Diego's a great organization, great franchise, and I wouldn't be nowhere else right now.
Um, Jalen, Ross, I want to say something about something in the chat before I go to you. Mike O'Neill 92 brought up something which was interesting. It says, are there places or are there moments, in all of this that happened over the course of an entire season where you can see maybe where Tyler is coming from or where the front office was from and see that maybe they see things different and there was a disconnect there instead of just seeing it just all one way or the other?
Well, there was times when there wasn't that much. Who likes to lose? Seriously.
Right.
I went from Sioux Falls going into 2 championships, going to this team, and we're on 12. Something wasn't used to, but it's my team.
Right.
I ain't gonna just jump and go. I'm a battle with them. So I'm like, it's just, I don't know. It's just crazy. But what was that? What was the rest of the question, sir?
I don't. Nate, did he answer both of your questions?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. Oh, actually, you know what? Sorry, Ross. I keep forgetting that Robert's here since I can't see his face. Robert, do you have a question for Jalen?
I just keep seeing one popping up in the chat, so I figured I'd ask it. What were your thoughts on the front office being referred to as the boys' club?
No, I look at it like this. Come on, you're a new franchise. Everybody coming in. Everybody coming in that's new. They got to gel. They got to grow together. I didn't see none of that as far as cliques or personal stuff or people being removed because they had to say or they voiced their opinion. No. I didn't see that at all. So.
Okay. Ross, hopefully we'll get your microphone good to go. Do you have a question for Jalen?
This is out of control. Yeah, Jalen, how you doing, buddy?
I'm all right.
I'm just thinking about last night, listening to Tyler talk, and I do remember him saying that he praised the locker room. He thought that the locker room presence was great. Yeah, he never trashed anything like to my recollection.
Yes.
One of the things that he was saying was that if you had a suggestion or that he had something that he felt was input or anything like that, to paraphrase him, it was kind of falling on deaf ears. Now, is it possible that that was something that was happening to him in direct conversations with either Jacob or Optimus or anyone else, that it wasn't necessarily happening in a coach's channel or something there where you would have been able to view it, where his individual experience with these guys may be exactly what he said it was?
Yeah, it's possible. It is possible, and it is possible. As far as there's a reason why Jacob Clear got released before the end of the season, but yeah, it is possible that he said he was asking questions and it was falling on deaf ears at times, but I didn't see none of that, not at all. And I wanted to make another comment about he was talking about how as far as him being the scouting, I remember he asked me to be a scout, to scout Vancouver, and I didn't do it. Simple reasons because I was going through biopsy for him finding out if I had cancer. So you don't know what's going on with other people's lives to sit there and make a comment and be harsh about what somebody or why he had to be the only one doing this, that, and the other on scouting. So.
Yeah, I would say the only thing I would say to that. I'm sorry, Ross. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, well, and of course, if that was something that was happening, then clearly that's not. And on a side note, with that, I hope that all worked out for you and you're healthy, brother, and everything is good.
Yeah. I'm cancer free since 23.
Nice.
That's fantastic, man. It's all the best for that. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's awesome to hear. I was actually one of the things I was going to ask him too, so it worked out perfect. A couple things real quick, Jalen. One is somebody's asking about what happens to all those guys that got cut. I think AJ said some were cut because of progressions. Can you take us through, if you remember, the timing and the reasons why Stephen McMichaels, Carson Miller, Nico Cappuccino, and Shea Carroll were cut?
See, I wasn't in those conversations about that. There's a reason for for them getting cut. As far as unless he had private conversations with them themselves about being ignored or comments that they made or anything like that, no, I don't understand. But people get cut for a reason. Progression, yes, there was some progression problems. So that could have been, leading up to it too. Because you can't sit there and rely on your player to be there every week. What's the sense? Come on now, really?
Right. Hey, the other thing that I wanted to say real quick, I'm sorry before I forget, to your point of you having some real life stuff going on, not being able to help out, I do believe actually, just in all transparency and fairness, Tyler did mention something about the fact that he does understand that people do have
Okay.
lives and things going on, and I think he even noted that he himself had some
Yes,
stuff
yes,
going
I
on the
do. I
last couple
remember that.
weeks of the season. So just to
Okay.
keep this as fair and balanced as possible.
Okay. Yeah, no
Um,
problem. Yes, I mean, I do remember him just saying that, but my far as things, it felt like he was putting it off that he was doing it all alone, and it made it feel like, even though he did say that, like nobody else had maybe serious problems they had to deal with,
Gotcha.
you know. So
Jacob Clear just put in the chat, 3 players who progressed at 100% over the season were cut from the locker room an hour after the last game. So it sounds like maybe a couple of them were cut due to not progressing, and then the other 3 were just cut. And again, here's the thing: we're not going to speculate on that part because unless somebody really knows the facts of what happened, why they were cut, and whatever.
yeah,
I don't know that it matters to us tonight anyway.
yeah,
I think
it
the
could be
main
personal reasons.
right. It could have been personal. They could have already known they were going to be cut. Ownership could have
Yeah,
talked to them. You don't know what went down. And if you don't know and you can't share with us, then there's no reason for us to speculate on it.
exactly.
I'm gonna wrap this up, and then we'll wrap the show up because we're coming up on 2 hours, which is
All right.
longer than I normally like this show to go. I thought Mike All jumped in. I thought he had a question for you, but I can't find it. So, Jalen, is there any last words you would like to say before we let you go, concerning either San Diego, what happened on Netma last night? Anything you want to say to free agents and rookies going forward that want to try to get them to San Diego? Whatever, the floor is yours to wrap it up.
I'm just gonna say San Diego's a good franchise. This is, we're new and we're just building, and we're only gonna get better. Right now, we just stay within our locker room and just keep moving forward. That's all. You know, that's all.
Okay. I don't see anybody else from your team or anything jumping on, Jalen. So it looks like you were the Lone Ranger tonight, bro.
Yeah, they made me the spokesperson tonight.
Okay. Hey, that's all right. Hey, thank you for coming on and giving
thank
us
you.
another side of the story. As I saw AJ and Mighty and a couple other people talking in the chat, there could be 3 or 4 different sides to this story.
Yeah,
And only
yeah.
the people really involved know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We're here if people want to get their side out. I'm sure Ashley has offered. I'm sure Ross has offered from Swamp Talk. I'm sure Nelson and Coach have reached out. Whatever media outlet, if you feel like you want to get your side of a story out, hit somebody up and get it out there. But in the meantime, Jalen, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having
Sorry
me.
we were so rough on you this season on the show. Hopefully we won't have to be next season, man.
It's all right. It's all right, bro.
All right, man. Have a good night, Jalen. Thanks again.
All right, you too. Take it easy.
All right,
Bye.
see ya. All right, everybody, there you go. So there's some questions and comments from the panel, some also from the show chat, and a man that was in the San Diego locker room this season in Jalen Wells. That'll bring us to Access After Dark. Now, we already talked to Jalen. We've already talked about this situation. If anybody wants to throw anything else out there, you're more than happy to over the next few minutes. We had Hunter on already. We had Twin Screw on. We've had a pretty loaded show, and we're coming up on 2 hours. So unless there's anything, really hot that we need to discuss tonight, absolutely need to discuss tonight. If not, I'm gonna wrap it up. Let's see what comments are here. After dark, party time. You can't control people. Yeah, you're right, AJ. If they miss progressions, there's only so much you can do. Yeah, I think that's. Oh, yeah. Real quick, let's wrap up with that, Hunter. Let me ask you. You said a comment earlier when we were going through the SFL movement categories. We talked about Jacksonville. We talked about Lone Star. We talked about Denver and some other teams. And you made a comment about Jacksonville wanting to change the culture, and that's why you guys let, and I think I want to say 13 people go, maybe something like that, or 12 go and one left, something along those lines. So let's wrap up tonight's show with finding out from Hunter Norwood what he meant by saying they are trying to change the culture in Jacksonville. Hunter, welcome back. Long time no talk, buddy.
Yeah, no, long time. I don't know how much I can say. I know Mike's in here, so if I say too much, Mike will yell at me. Uh, but I do want to say, just to, I guess, clear the air on things, because it does look bad, I guess, on the outside. So obviously part of it was a few retirements. CC, Alex Bond, KG retired. I think that was it. CC retired. Anthony CC, the kicker.
Okay. Yep.
We had a few drops from missed progressions and subscription lapses, so that was also a thing. And then, aside from that, the mass exodus of people wasn't people leaving the team; it was Frank cutting. Just to be clear, as someone said before. We are the reigning franchise of the year.
Right.
And in my opinion, I don't think we did enough to do it again. I don't want to throw people under the bus. I don't want to go too crazy with it, but I feel like there's standards for franchise of the year, and I feel like we could do better to get to a franchise of the year sort of award. I think teams like Louisiana coming out with Swamp Talk was really good. Atlanta's Twitter is always popping, and they have a really good Twitter presence. There's Atlanta has a few good like Gen Chat ambassadors. CC was always our guy.
Right.
Everyone knew CC. He was the iconic SFL guy. He was in the chats here and there. For a time, he was the SFL grapevine. If you needed to know anything and you're in with CC, you knew everything. He started to fall off a little bit of that. I think he got a little burnt out on it. But also, if you ask him, it's the SFL meta kind of changed. For a time, there was a meta where you could almost use rumors and, I guess, behind-the-scenes goings-ons to improve your team. And it started to reach a point where he felt that you couldn't do that as much. So,
well,
I don't know. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you. Let me ask you this. So you guys were franchise of the year for season 15. Remind us, if you can remember, how much turnover did you have between 15 and 16? And if it wasn't that much, then why did you need the big turnover? I mean, I guess my point is, if it's mostly the same people, then what was different?
I think. Just real quick, I'm seeing in the chat. Yeah, MSG did leave on his own choice. He was not cut.
Oh yeah, Mike saying you're incorrect.
Yeah. I did forget to mention that. I wish MSG all the best, by the way. But what changed? I feel like a lot of guys. I feel like a core group of guys, you could say our old guard, just wasn't invested as much. Like our franchise of the year award was kind of a lot of our guys peaking, and then we kind of started to go down the hill.
Okay.
I can't quite say. I'm not terribly plugged in, but that's probably the best explanation. But it's things like, so like our locker room isn't bad or anything. It's not that it's not that sort of culture change where, oh, the locker room was quiet, or the locker room was, people were toxic or anything crazy like that. We were all good friends, talking in the locker room, up on wins, down on losses, typical stuff. A lot of people played their parts. I think what Frank really wants to do is he wants to get guys in that care like wholeheartedly about the league, but also will help on different facets of the league.
Gotcha.
And also will make all progressions, because we definitely had some problems. And I saw someone say it in there, Master Chief, guys can swear up and down that they won't dip or miss progressions, but they just don't pan out, is 100% correct. You'll draft a guy that seems like he'll be perfect, and then all of a sudden halfway through the season he just disappears on you.
Right.
We had that with Jaye Eniola. He had a record-setting MVP season, and then like 4 weeks into the next season, he just stopped showing up. No clue what happened with him. He just disappeared. But
yeah, Mike St. Green just threw in the chat real quick, Hunter, that he agrees the locker room was different than in season 15. And to your point, sometimes people just have things come up in life. I mean, things happen, right?
Yeah.
Life happens.
Sorry,
No,
but
go ahead.
it's like things were different, as like I know CC and KG and Alex, or CC and KG at least, were entering college. So they were going to start dealing with college stuff. And I know that like their interest in the league was starting to wane. I'm sure on CC's part, the increase on QBs probably weighed on him a little bit. So, it's CC was almost on the way out for a couple seasons, but he stuck around. He wanted to try to win a championship. So,
Right.
like, no one was terribly surprised as far as Jacksonville that he retired. But it is what it is. But
Right.
again, we're just gonna keep pushing. Mike is killing it, as far as I know, in the FA market. Setting up draft boards, doing everything that needs to be done, and I'm not worried about where the team's going to be. I do know we have we'll have some interesting FA signings if everything pans out.
Okay. Well, we're definitely looking forward to seeing those, along with obviously every other team in the SFL. Hunter, thanks for jumping on and clearing that up for us, bro. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. And to all you Jacksonville peeps I see in the chat, Mike St. Green, Mike All, whoever else is in there, looking forward to seeing what you guys do individually as well. Mike St. Green moving on to another team. Mike All staying behind to see if he can put that team back together, if you will. So good luck, Mike All, in that. All right, that's it, peeps. We're going to wrap this shindig up. I do want to remind you guys real quick, today's the 20th, so this was episode 95. Next week we got 96 and 97. Then on June 1st, episode 98 is when I'm going to announce the axes. You'll have like 2 weeks to vote on them while I'm gone. I will be in the Gulf of Mexico fishing and drinking beer on a boat, probably getting my head sunburned and the whole 9 yards. So if I come back and I'm as red as the red on my screen, then you'll know what's up. And then on the 15th, we'll do a recap of everything. And then on the 17th, we'll have the actual Axie Awards for episode 100, and I plan on having some very special guests on that show to help me celebrate. So just wanted to remind you guys of that. And then I want to throw special shout outs and thank yous. Frank the Franchise Wade, Nate Hall, Robert Garrett Jr., Ross Napoli, Gunny, Mike Twinscrew, Hunter Norwood, Jalen Wells, Hunter Norwood again. I think that's it. And then, of course, all of the party people in the chat. You guys were very active tonight. There was a lot of you in there. Those are the kind of shows that give me the energy to go over 2 hours and feel like I could go another 2. Just kidding. I'm not really going to do. And yes, Optimus, I know my hair looks phenomenal. I get that a lot. I get that all the time, actually. So what's today? Thursday. So I guess there's some minor league games this weekend. And then we'll be back here on Tuesday where we're going to talk some more. We're going to break down some more free agent and retiree stuff, but we're going to start talking about some individual people, where we think they might be going, how things are going to break down. And, of course, Mike Twinscrew will be back with his next positional rankings, as well as mystery guest number 12. So that will all be happening next Tuesday night right here on Twitch at 9 p.m. when me, the panelists, and our mystery guest will see you at the tees.